Okay, I'm doing my speech over marijuana legalization. So, according to John Getman, who has a PhD in public policy from George Mason University, $15.7 billion out of $193 billion in annual criminal justice expenditures gets put towards the arrest from marijuana possession. If we were to stop that, we would be able to save that money. It's pretty crazy to think about. Susan Ferris, who is a part of the Center for Public Integrity, said that within the past year, when Colorado announced their legalization of marijuana, it reduced youth crime by 20%. So it really does help. So if you think about it, if we did something like that here in our own state, we could reduce crime. It's not such a bad thing. I've done much research on government and organizational websites that have shown more positivity than negativity towards the subject of legalization. So with that, I'm not really talking about the morality of legalization, more just the numbers and the benefits that could come from legalization. So marijuana is something that has many benefits, and it's also very similar to alcohol if you think about it. But there are many different things that we could discuss about the legalization of marijuana, but I only want to focus on, like I said, alcohol versus marijuana, and just all the different benefits that come from legalization. According to Controlled Substances Act, voters in Colorado passed initiatives legalizing marijuana for adults 21 and over. So, I mean, it's the same thing as alcohol if you think about it. I mean, you have to be 21 years older. You can't do it in public, and you can't do it while driving. So if you get caught driving under the influence of marijuana, you get the same penalties as you would if you were drunk and driving. So, I mean, the only real difference I could find is one's, a liquid and one's a solid. So other than that, it's not that different. So there are also approximately 88,000 deaths attributable to excessive alcohol use each year in the United States. So that's a big number. That's a lot of deaths, it's a lot of accidents just due to alcohol, and that's legal. So I don't see what the big deal is about making marijuana legal as well. So yes, marijuana and alcohol are very similar, but I also want to discuss the benefits of the legalization as well. First, I want to talk about the health benefits and how legalization could help that. According to Stanford University Outreach Project for Education, states that use medical marijuana say it can be used for chemotherapy, sclerosis, glaucoma, and even AIDS therapy. So there is a lot of different uses for it just in the health aspect. And if you think about it, if you had an illness or something like that, when you want the opportunity to do something different, try something different that could help you. But now that you know a little bit about the health benefits, let's talk about the legal side of it. I kind of want to take us back to the alcohol prohibition in the early 1900s and then kind of compare it to today's marijuana prohibition. So looking back at the national level, a historian named Michael Lerner says, prohibition cost the federal government a total of $11 billion in lost tax revenue while costing over $300 million to enforce. So, I mean, it's just a lot of money being put to just, prohibiting alcohol. And I can see why they made it legal again. But looking at our current situation, a Harvard economist, Jeffrey Miron, who argued the government could save $7.7 billion a year by not having to enforce marijuana prohibition. And if they were to just use the same taxes as you do on alcohol and tobacco, you could raise an additional $6.2 billion annually for our country. So it's really not that unreasonable to think about. But with many of the previous negatives of marijuana being disputed or debunked, legalization is starting to happen, and as it does, the judicial and financial benefits are really becoming evident. So with that, looking at the voting outcome of the revenues collected, they have decided that out of the 15% sales tax, 10% of that is going to be distributed to each local government in the state that has one or more retail marijuana stores within its boundaries in Colorado. So that's a lot of money that's just going to the governments that are in those specific boundaries. And if that was nationwide, then that would be a huge number. So with all this being said, marijuana is something that people are going to use regardless. Those select people are going to do it whether it's against the law or not. So why not take control of it and use it to our benefit? Marijuana is something that could benefit us medically, it could benefit us legally and financially, and it's really close to something that we already have that's legal. So if you think about it, this is something that could really benefit us, and there's nothing you can really do. You can't really go out to President Obama and say, hey, let's change something. Let's make this, legal. But you can take a step back, look at it from a different point of view, and realize that if it does become legal, it is something that could benefit us as a country and as individuals. So with anything, you got to outweigh pros and cons and realize which one is better, and determine from there. Thank you.